Yeah, it's a sauna. Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All to Sri Prabhupada. Welcome devotees to our evening Bhagavad Gita circle. It's been a habit now for me to say this every morning, so I got to catch myself. And today we will be starting a new chapter, chapter 5, verse 1, and the chapter is entitled Karma Yoga, Action in Krishna Consciousness. And it will be read to us and explained and discussed by Krishna Prabhu from ISKCON Harrisburg. Without further delay, we'll jump straight into it. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirveshesha Sunyavari Paschatiyadi Satarani. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Okay. Good afternoon, dear devotees. So we're starting chapter 5 today. Chapter is entitled, as you heard earlier, Karma, Yoga, Action in Krishna Consciousness. Text 1. Arjuna Vacha Sanyasam Kamanam Krishna Puna Yogam Chasam Shamsasi Yach Shreya Etayo Ekam Tanme Bruhitu Nishchitam. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Arjuna said, O Krishna, first of all, you asked me to renounce work. And then again, you recommend work with devotion. Now, will you kindly tell me definitely which of the two is more beneficial? Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In this 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that work in devotional service is better than dry mental speculation. Devotional service is easier than the latter because being transcendental in nature, it frees one from reaction. In the 2nd chapter, preliminary knowledge of the soul and its entanglement in the material body were explained. How to get out of this material engagement by Buddhi Yoga or devotional service was also explained therein. In the 3rd chapter, it was explained that a person who is situated on the platform of knowledge no longer has any duties to perform. And in the 4th chapter, the Lord told Arjuna that all kinds of sacrificial work culminate in knowledge. However, at the end of the 4th chapter, the Lord advised Arjuna to wake up and fight, being situated in perfect knowledge. Therefore, by simultaneously stressing the importance of both work in devotion and inaction in knowledge, Krishna has perplexed Arjuna and confused his determination. Arjuna understands that renunciation in knowledge involves cessation of all kinds of work performed as sense activities. But if one performs work in devotional service, then how is work stopped? In other words, he thinks that sannyas or renunciation in knowledge should be altogether free from all kinds of activity because work and renunciation appear to him to be incompatible. He appears not to have understood that work in full knowledge is non-reactive and is therefore the same as inaction. He inquires, therefore, whether he should cease work altogether or work with full knowledge. Text 2. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Sanyasa Karma Yogascha Nishriyasa Karavubhau Tayostu Karma Sanyasat Karma Yogo Vishishyate. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. The personality of Godhead replied, the renunciation of work and work in devotion are both good for liberation. But of the two, work in devotional service is better than renunciation of work. Purport. Fruitive activities seeking sense gratification are cause for material bondage. As long as one is engaged in activities aimed at improving the standard of bodily comfort, one is sure to transmigrate to different types of bodies, thereby continuing material bondage perpetually. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 5, Text 4 through 6, confirms this as follows. Nunam pramata karute vikarma yad indriya priyata aprinoti nasadu manye yata atmanoyam asanapi kleshada asadeha parabhavastavad abhutajato yavan nagigyasata atmatatvam yavad kriyastavadidam manuve karmatmakam yena sarira bandha evam mana karma vasam vayunkte avidyaya padiyamani vitilnaya vammayi vasudevi namuchate deha yogena tavat. So this is the translation. People are mad after sense gratification, and they do not know that this present body, which is full of miseries, is a result of one's fruitive activities in the past. Although this body is temporary, it is always giving one trouble in many ways. Therefore, to act for sense gratification is not good. One is considered to be a failure in life as long as he makes no inquiry about his real identity. As long as he does not know his real identity, he has to work for fruitive results for sense gratification. And as long as one is engrossed in the consciousness of sense gratification, one has to migrate from one body to another. Although the mind may be engrossed in fruitive activities and influenced by ignorance, one must develop a love for devotional service to Vasudeva. Only then can one have the opportunity to get out of the bondage of material existence. Therefore, Gyan, or knowledge that one is not this material body but spirit soul, is not sufficient for liberation. One has to act in the status of spirit soul, otherwise there is no escape from material bondage. Action in Krishna consciousness is not, however, action on the fruitive platform. Activities performed in full knowledge strengthen one's advancement in real knowledge. Without Krishna consciousness, mere renunciation of fruitive activities does not actually purify the heart of a conditioned soul. As long as the heart is not purified, one has to work on the fruitive platform. But action in Krishna consciousness automatically helps one escape the result of fruitive action so that one need not descend to the material platform. Therefore, action in Krishna consciousness is always superior to renunciation, which always entails a risk of falling. Renunciation without Krishna consciousness is incomplete, as is confirmed by Srila Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Prapanchi kataya Buddha Hari Sambadi Vastuna Mumukshibi Parityago Vairagyam Palgu Katate. When persons eager to achieve liberation renounce things related to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, thinking them to be material, their renunciation is called incomplete. Renunciation is complete when it is in the knowledge that everything in existence belongs to the Lord and that no one should claim proprietorship over anything. One should understand factually that nothing belongs to anyone. Then where is the question of renunciation? One who knows that everything is Krishna's property is always situated in renunciation. Since everything belongs to Krishna, everything should be employed in the service of Krishna. This perfect form of action in Krishna consciousness is far better than any amount of artificial renunciation by a sannyasi of the Mayavadi school. Text 3. Gyeya sanitya sannyasi yona dveshti na kankshati nidvandvo hi mahabaho sukam bandhat pramuchate. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. One who neither hates nor desires the fruits of his activities is known to be always renounced. Such a person, free from all dualities, easily overcomes material bondage and is completely liberated. O mighty armed Arjuna. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. One who is fully in Krishna consciousness is always a renouncer because he feels neither hatred nor desire for the results of his actions. Such a renouncer, dedicated to the transcendental loving service of the Lord, is fully qualified in knowledge because he knows his constitutional position in his relationship with Krishna. He knows fully well that Krishna is the whole and that he is part and parcel of Krishna. Such knowledge is perfect because it is qualitatively and quantitatively correct. The concept of oneness with Krishna is incorrect because the part cannot be equal to the whole. Knowledge that one is one in quality yet different in quantity is correct transcendental knowledge, leading one to become full in himself, having nothing to aspire to or lament over. There is no duality in his mind because whatever he does for Krishna. Being thus freed from the platform of dualities, he is liberated even in this material world. Text 4. Sankhya Yuga Pitak Balam Pravadanti na Pandita Ekam Apyastita Sanyang Ubayo Vindate Palam. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Only the ignorant speak of devotional service, karma yoga, as being different from the analytical study of the material world, Sankhya. Those who are actually learned say that he who applies himself well to one of these paths achieves the result of both. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The aim of the analytical study of the material world is to find the soul of existence. Right? The soul of the material world is Vishnu, or the supersoul. Devotional service to the Lord entails service to the supersoul. One process is to find the root of the tree, and the other is to water the root. The real student of Sankhya philosophy finds the root of the material world, Vishnu, and then in perfect knowledge engages himself in the service of the Lord. Therefore, in essence, there is no difference between the two because the aim of both is Vishnu. Those who do not know the ultimate end say that the purposes of Sankhya and Karma Yoga are not the same, but one who is learned knows the unifying aim in these different processes. Text 5. Yat Sankhya Prapyate Stanam Tad Yoga Api Gamyate Ekam Sankyam Cha Yogam Cha Yapashyati Sapashyati. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. One who knows that the position reached by means of analytical study can also be obtained by devotional service, and who therefore sees analytical study and devotional service to be on the same level, sees things as they are. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The real purpose of philosophical research is to find the ultimate goal of life. Since the ultimate goal of life is self-realization, there is no difference between the conclusions reached by the two processes. By Sankhya philosophical research, one comes to the conclusion that a living entity is not a part and parcel of the material world, but of the Supreme Spirit whole. Consequently, the spirit soul has nothing to do with the material world. His actions must be in some relation with the Supreme. When he acts in Krishna consciousness, he is actually in his constitutional position. In the first process, Sankhya, one has to become detached from matter. And in the devotional yoga process, one has to attach himself to the work of Krishna consciousness. Factually, both processes are the same. Although superficially, one process appears to involve detachment and the other process appears to involve attachment. Detachment from matter and attachment to Krishna are one and the same. One who can see this sees things as they are. Text 6. Sanyasastu mahabaho dukam aptum ayogata yoga yukto munir bhama nachirena digachati. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Merely renouncing all activities, yet not engaging in the devotional service of the Lord cannot make one happy. But a thoughtful person engaged in devotional service can achieve the Supreme without delay. Purport. There are two classes of sannyasis, or persons in the renounced order of life. Mayavadi sannyasis are engaged in the study of Sankhya philosophy, whereas Vaishnava sannyasis are engaged in the study of Bhagavatam philosophy, which affords the proper commentary on the Vedanta Sutras. The Mayavadi sannyasis also study the Vedanta Sutras, but use their own commentary called Sariraka Bhashya, written by Shankaracharya. The students of the Bhagavata school are engaged in the devotional service of the Lord according to the Pancharatrika regulations. And therefore, the Vaishnava sannyasis have multiple engagements in the transcendental service of the Lord. The Vaishnava sannyasis have nothing to do with material activities, and yet they perform various activities in their devotional service to the Lord. But the Mayavadi sannyasis engaged in the study of Sankhya and Vedanta and speculation cannot relish the transcendental service of the Lord. Because their studies become very tedious, they sometimes become tired of Brahman speculation, and thus they take shelter of the Bhagavatam without proper understanding. Consequently, their study of Srimad Bhagavatam becomes troublesome. Dry speculations and impersonal interpretations by artificial means are all useless for the Mayavadi sannyasis. The Vaishnava sannyasis who are engaged in devotional service are happy in the discharge of their transcendental duties, and they have the guarantee of ultimate entrance into the kingdom of God. The Mayavadi sannyasis sometimes fall down from the path of self-realization and again enter into material activities of a philanthropic and altruistic nature, which are nothing but material engagements. Therefore, the conclusion is that those who are engaged in Krishna conscious activities are better situated than the sannyasis engaged in simple speculation about what is Brahman and what is not Brahman, although they too come to Krishna consciousness after many births. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you so much for this wonderful reading. As you were reading, I just kept saying, wow, because it's so clear. It's so amazing. Thank you so much. Would like to ask devotees, have any questions, any comments, any clarification? Please, you can just jump right in. Or if you want, you can raise your hand and ask any questions. That would be, really, really nice. We have about 10 minutes for a nice discussion. So please do take this opportunity to have a nice discussion. If Mother Gita, please go ahead, Mother.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna to everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances always. So basically what Krishna, I think, is trying to say is that sannyas is actually a state of consciousness.
Absolutely.
Where, okay, thank you. Thank you.
And that,
Okay.
yeah,
All
that
right.
was
So I thought you were going to
please,
ask
go ahead.
more. I didn't interrupt you, did I?
No, not at all. That was
Okay.
the only realization.
Yeah, it's a state of consciousness, and
Yeah.
one question, point that he made, clarified that situation. Now, of course, we know the sannyas ashram is there. Sannyas ashram, and there's also the grihastha ashram, married people. But the grihastha ashram, Srila Prabhupada made a comment that if a grihastha couple follows the regulated principles, that is, they don't indulge just freely for sense gratification, especially sex life, then in consciousness, they're acting like sannyasis. He made that point, I've read that years ago. So then, because then sex life is according to regulated principles, religious principles. Krishna wants it that way. And so when that is, the children are brought, the children that the couple need to, and after that, they don't indulge in it. In matter of fact, at the time that they want a child, they follow the samskaras that are involved in it, then the whole thing becomes a spiritual exercise, a spiritual activity. And it also very much affects the type of soul that comes to the material world, to be with that the devotee couple. So as long as they don't go into sense gratification, then they're living literally like sannyasis. So it's definitely a state of consciousness. That's why I agree with you, Mother Gita, because I remember that point Srila Prabhupada made. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. That was nice. Yeah, that was also kind of my understanding. And I'm so glad that Mother Gita made it so simple. Really nice. I have a question, and I don't know whether it's a question or trying to clarify my understanding. From what Srila Prabhupada is saying about Sankhya philosophy, it's Srila Prabhupada is saying that Sankhya philosophy is actually analytical research and study. Is that what he's trying to say here?
Yeah. Sankhya philosophy is explained in detail by Lord Kapila in 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And the idea, he was talking to his mother Devahuti. And Devahuti Mataji was the one who was asking questions. Now, Sankhya philosophy explains what material life is, the basis of it, and what spiritual life is, so that a person can use their head to decide to understand that it is better to be involved in spiritual than material. Okay, so then in going through that, both are analyzed, because we have a lot of analysis and purpose by Sri Prabhupada in Srimad Bhagavatam itself, in the commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. But yeah, the whole idea of Sankhya philosophy is when the material part is described, then it becomes clear to the person that this is not me, I'm not this physical body, and this particular lifestyle is not going to liberate me, material lifestyle. Therefore, everything that I do, even if I have this physical body, which is there, I have to connect it to Krishna consciousness, so that ultimately everything that I do will be satisfactory to me in terms of spiritually. We gain from it. So that's what that's about. But Prabhupada describes it here as Sankhya philosophy. So when you do the analytical study will make you conclude that spiritual knowledge is better. What spirituality explains is better than material, because material is temporary. Therefore, I should connect myself to the spiritual. So a person from Sankhya philosophy then begins to act from the point of view of spiritual. And a person that has not studied Sankhya philosophy, but by instructions of the spiritual master, is living and acting, using their bodies to do things to serve the Supreme Personality in devotional service, also is at the same place that the person that studies Sankhya philosophy has concluded and come to. In other words, both of them wind up serving, with the Sankhya philosophy person knowing that it is a material that's going to sabotage me, therefore I shouldn't, now that I understand what the material is about, I shouldn't be about that. I should dovetail or connect all my services devotionally. And the person that didn't, that just from bhakti straight up to service because the spiritual master says so, Krishna says so, they didn't study any Sankhya philosophy, they don't have analysis of material energy, then they just go straight to it. And sometimes we talk about, if you don't mind my taking a little bit, sometimes in my work before I retired, I said that if these professors are thinking straight, they should be the best devotees. For all that they know, the ego is so bad. The ego is so bad that many things that they do, and this is just amazing, just from a material standpoint, how much that material energy is set up and how much it can do. These scientists know it. They know it. They know that they're struggling and allowed to do one thing that the human body does in seconds. And that alone should tell them, it takes days and days and days to figure out what's going on. And if they try to replicate that, they struggle so much with it. But material energy goes through that easily. So that alone is that there is a force behind this, somebody far more intelligent than me, and that person put nature together. And I can't do anything without going to nature first. I can't start and develop anything without starting from material nature. And you can't do anything that's natural because, I mean, they've tried, believe me, I still remember my chemistry, but I won't get into it. They've tried and they get nowhere. Or they take a long time before they can get one thing done that nature does in literally split seconds. When it comes to scientists, I actually mentioned some particular names. Yeah, they agree. But then why? What's your problem? Why does the ego wants to be the controller so much? So yeah, it's there. Sankhya philosophy should make people conclude that there is a higher power, and seeking that higher power, how to serve the higher power, will bring you to devotional service. It really should. But they want the whole world to believe them first. So man, enough for them. I won't go on.
So Sankhya philosophy, which is the analytical research study, will help one to transition from that period, from that level to Krishna consciousness.
It talks about the material energy, but it also talks about the futility of it. Otherwise, people would just buy into that and stay there, right? But it talks about the futility of it. It's very, very simple. One of the very simple statements in Sankhya philosophy is, you think you own something? You were born with nothing. A baby doesn't have anything. And when you die, you can't take anything with you. This is the fact of life in the material world. I was mentioning about Krishna. You're born with nothing. You can't leave with anything. So what makes you think you own anything here? That alone should make you think, if I can't have any control of things here because death takes it away, whatever things that I do, then there must be a higher power, because death just stops everything. And in Krishna consciousness, Krishna comes as death to take those who are not taking Krishna consciousness seriously, deprive them of everything, and put them in another physical body. But those who are serving Krishna, death comes in a friendly way. Physical body may suffer in a friendly way, but the process itself ends up wonderfully, because Krishna can take you back to the spiritual world where there's no more anxiety. So that's the spiritual part of it. And the reasoning, the logic from a material is, well, you're born with nothing. You can't take anything with you. Therefore, things are in your possession only for a temporary period of time. You can't determine when you die. And if you determine when you die prematurely by taking your own life, then of course you get put in this ghost body and you're going to suffer for the period of time that you should have been here. So that things are not under our control. To that kind of understanding, this is all the material, that kind of understanding makes us realize there is a higher power and we should connect with it. And therefore the person in Sankhya philosophy then begins to take, the higher power, the higher study seriously, and eventually become to Krishna consciousness or back to yoga.
Thank you. Yeah, now it's clear. I hope. I don't forget this. Yes, Mother Gita, please go ahead, Mother.
Yes, as you said, I don't forget it. So can you please give me a recording of this? So
yes,
because Sankhya philosophy was explained so nicely in a simple way that I would like to make notes, please. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
I
you,
will.
Mother.
Recording.
What I can do is I can have my my daughter, because she does the recording and uploads. I can tell her to cut that part, Mother, and send it to you via email.
Yes, that'll be great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mother Gita.
Krishna, glory to you, Prabhupada.
Any questions from devotees? Any thoughts? Any reflection? Take away from this amazing discussion from this class? Very nice chapter. And it's interesting as you were reading the verses, and I was thinking, wow, it'll be really amazing if we start having classes on one verse. I think he'll be powerful because there's so much packed in one verse and one purport. So hopefully once we finish this reading program, we can start doing that, because I think it's going to, then I feel like we are going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into learning the real, the real essence of it. It's just beautiful. It's really
let me throw in one word before we end. When I mentioned about the scientists, and I said that they struggle to take this and this and this, do one thing that the material life does in seconds. And I also mentioned, or sometimes even a split second, I also mentioned that among them, you can just mention one name and they would know. This is quite a common name. The word that I was thinking of is enzymes. You've heard it so many times, enzymes. They act in the body in a split second. And scientists try to do what enzymes do, and they struggle and struggle and struggle and struggle. That alone shows it as a higher power. This is nature that created it. The nature is from Krishna. So just enzymes alone. This is the proof there of that they should really bow after studying Sankhya philosophy, that they should know Krishna consciousness is best.
Thank you. Would like to request devotees, just a humble announcement. Yeah, I'm looking forward actually once we go through the whole chapters, and then we can start going even deeper by verse, one verse each time, and have a whole study. I think it's going to be really, really nice discussion and deep understanding to really sink in at least my head. So thank you. Would like to remind devotees, tomorrow we have our Earth Day, that we have devotees that are going to be out there distributing Srila Prabhupada's books and sharing the holy name at Earth Day, which is a very popular street festival in downtown Mechanicsburg from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. We request devotees to please come out and support the devotees who are going to be out there 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., really distributing Prabhupada's books and sharing the holy name. And yes, there will be prasadam provided, so please do not be worried about prasadam. And we have a wonderful Sunday program. We have a guest speaker, a Prabhupada disciple, that's going to be giving a wonderful class entitled Obstacles on the Path of Detachment. So it'll be a very nice class, and we request devotees to please join us on both days. Until then, have a wonderful evening, and hope to see all of you tomorrow and Sunday. Vanshakratibhyascha, Kripasindhabhevcha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mother Gita.
Hare Krishna.